Time Warner Cable is pleased to be an underwriting sponsor for Carolina Week.
Coming up on the March 5th edition of Carolina Week.
I'm Adam Rue. Coming up, I'll show you why lines at the ticket counter might not be the only thing standing between some students and spring break.
I'm Susan Tart. UNC is known as a diverse school, but there might be one category in which that description doesn't apply.
In sports, the Tar Heels were revved up for their smackdown against Duke.
Johnny O has your 4-day forecast.
All that and another reason to eat ice cream. Carolina Week starts right now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Hello and welcome to the Monday edition of Carolina Week. I'm Jessica Floyd.
And I'm Alex Villarreal. Well, what a big day yesterday was for Carolina athletics, especially basketball. So we have our sports anchor, Deshawn Brown, joining us with a quick wrap-up of all the excitement.
Hi, Deshawn.
Hi, Jessica. Hey, Alex. You know, ladies, this was one of the biggest weekends in all of Tar Heel sports. If you're a fan of Carolina, you're going to be happy with pretty much everything that I have to say. You know, it's not often that an ACC tournament title and a victory against Duke happen in the same day. The women's basketball team was out to accomplish one goal. Now, after knocking off the Virginia Tech Hokies, things started to go Carolina's way. The Heels pretty much handled the Maryland Terrapins, but saved some of the good stuff for their last victim, rival NC State. The Heels gave the Pack much more than they can handle. Erlana Larkins dominated as usual. Now, speaking of domination, the men's team took on Duke Sunday afternoon in a very physical game. It was a big night for the Heels, and they earned this win. The Heels completed a season sweep of the Blue Devils. Now, the game ended in a very dramatic fashion, evoking blood and sweat from UNC and a few tears from Duke. We will have the highlights and some lowlights coming up in sports.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Deshawn. We'll see you a little bit later. And now here we go with some March Madness. The Duke game wasn't just the last time senior players hit the court, it was also the last chance for senior students to tailgate. The smell of hamburgers and hot dogs filled Ehringhaus Field Sunday afternoon. Seniors waited for their spirited cook to let them know when their food was ready. They spread out on the field, enjoying the sun and each other's company. Some put the fixins on their food, while others sat and talked. A few prepared for the game with a little Carolina face paint. From there, it was off to the Dean Dome with hopes for a Tar Heel victory.
After any big win, you can always expect crowds on Franklin Street. Brendan Anderson has the story.
It's not your typical night for restaurants like Top of the Hill.
We usually only have one floor manager and one bar manager on at any time. Today we're going to have 3 floor managers, 2 bar managers.
When UNC hosts rival Duke at home, downtown businesses see a lot more customers.
We get all kinds of people, students, some of the local guys that live around. Good little crowd.
And when UNC wins against Duke, that little crowd can multiply fast.
The whole town just blows up.
Steve Woodham owns Players and Goodfellas and says he tries to keep an exciting atmosphere for Tar Heel fans.
I came to Goodfellas. This is the best place in Chapel Hill to come watch a game.
And when the game heats up, so do the fans. A room full of fans at Top of the Hill stay glued to the game and get more pumped as UNC draws closer to a win.
Carolina has just beaten Duke, and if you look behind me, people are already celebrating at Top of the Hill. Now, the city's preparing for a large crowd to start walking down to Franklin Street. There's police officers on the corner, and they've already put out these trash cans to prepare for the huge crowds.
Restaurant owners and city officials both predicted this reaction after the win over Duke. And even though workers sprayed water on the street earlier, excited fans still light bonfires and enjoy themselves.
Well, I was crowd surfing. That is when people hoist you up into the air, you lie back like so, and you bump on down Franklin Street.
After police move in to end the antics, the crowd's still eager to take the party to the bars.
Yeah, we're all hanging out now, actually, over at Goodfellas.
Which makes bar owners cheer that much harder for the home team. In Chapel Hill, I'm Brendan Anderson, Carolina Week.
The Faculty Council had hoped there would be no bonfires on Franklin Street. Even though there were, at least there were no injuries from students jumping through the flames.
Another rival might be coming to town to compete with one of our very own Tar Heels, the Daily Tar Heel, that is. Weaver Street Market in Carrboro is about to add another newspaper to this selection. On March 21st, residents will be able to purchase the first edition of the Carrboro Citizen. The paper will feature local politics and community news with articles from reporters and town residents. The addition of a newspaper is a response to Carrboro's continued growth. For more information, you can visit our website, carolinaweek.org.
And if you plan to drive to your spring break destination, you might want to recalculate how much you'll have to spend on gas. Gas prices have gone up to an average of $2.39 in the Chapel Hill area, a 2-cent increase since last Monday and 23 cents since January. Experts say the rise is because of the changeover to the summer gasoline blend. They add that the jump in prices is typical at this time of year and prices will continue to rise.
Between spring break and job interviews, this is a busy travel time for UNC students. But as Carolina Week's Adam Rue reports, heightened security could mean a big hassle for you.
A guy leans back, he's like, he's on the list.
That's what junior R.F. Kahn says is the routine when he goes to the airport to board a plane. The American-born business major says tougher security since 9/11 has made traveling more difficult.
Every time I travel, my name always just ends up raising a red flag, so it takes always a little bit extra time.
Security officials are required to check photo IDs and boarding passes against a national no-fly list. Khan says he thinks it's his name, not his Pakistani background, that causes concern.
I guess there must be somebody out there who's done something bad who has our name.
One regulation that affects all of us has to do with what we carry on the planes. As of last August, soaps and hand lotions have to be in small containers like this one. Anything bigger has to go in the trash.
And if you're expecting, like, first-class treatment, you're going to go through and it's going to be just a breezy time for you. It's not going to be.
Khan says he adds at least 20 minutes to his travel time to allow for the background check. And when he gets stopped, that slows the process for everyone else. In Chapel Hill, I'm Adam Rue, Carolina Week.
When we tried to ask security officials at RDU about their screening process, they said they aren't allowed to talk on camera. But the Transportation Security Administration website does give you a way to express concerns if you think you've been unfairly singled out.
It's a day and an event most of us will never forget. March 3rd, 2006, UNC alumnus Mohammad Taheri Azhar hit 9 people as he drove a rented SUV through the pit. Taheri Azhar says his motivation for the attack was a desire to avenge Muslim deaths around the world. Taheri Azhar appeared in court Monday morning, and after a tirade filled with expletives, during which he said he hates all Americans and all Jews, officials had him committed to Dorothea Dix Mental Hospital in Raleigh. 1 year after the pit incident, Muslim students on campus are still upset about the attack and the negative light it cast on them.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
I'm Famida Azad. I'm a sophomore psychology major, and I'm Muslim. I was right there. The sound of a human body in a car is something that I've never experienced before, so that was just complete shock, and I was just completely stunned.
My name is Uzma Khan, and I'm a senior, and I identify myself as a Muslim. I personally didn't get hate mail, but I did get hate mail through the MSA email. And most of it was just like immature people saying like, see, Muslims are crazy, like really ignorant things.
My name is Mona Sood. I'm a junior biology major here at Carolina. I got home and one of the people from MSA called and they're like, really bad news. And I was like, what's up? And then they're like, the guy's name's Muhammad. And I was like, oh, great.
Another incident had happened just to promote this negative stereotype, this minority stereotype of like extremist, violent Muslim.
When I was there, I was stunned. I didn't feel much, but then when I heard that he was Muslim, I literally broke down because I just couldn't believe that this incident was associated with the word Muslim.
Since the pit incident, MSA students have done things such as remove individual email addresses from the group's website to further avoid harassment.
Well, we often hear and read about how diverse UNC's campus is.
Coming up, reporter Susan Tart tells us one type of diversity that's a little harder to see on campus, if it exists at all.
A day in the life of Chapel Hill Greenways, brought to you by Chapel Hill Parks and Recreation. For more information, please call 919-968-2784 or pick up a map at any town facility.
Recycling a glass bottle saves enough energy to run the TV you're watching for 1 full hour. Recycle. It's the everyday way to save the world. Making a can from recycled aluminum instead of from raw materials reduces air pollution by 95%. Recycle. It's the everyday way to save the world.
It's easy to look at the multicultural groups in the pit and see that UNC is diverse, but what can't we see about diversity? Reporter Susan Tart investigated political diversity on campus and found some interesting results. Susan, tell us a little bit about what you found.
Jess, many outsiders see UNC as a very liberal university, but campus officials say that political variety is included in diversity programming.
Chancellor Measer's Diversity Task Force is winning awards, but some students say the campus is far from diverse. After all, Measer's plan doesn't mention anything about political diversity. UNC student Amanda Zalaquette co-chairs the North Carolina Federation of College Republicans. She says there's a problem on campus.
There are some in the administration who definitely are supportive of all viewpoints, but there's probably limited to 2 or 3 faculty members, but the rest are very left-wing and have a very liberal bias.
Of the 949 College of Arts and Sciences faculty registered to vote in North Carolina, 73% are Democrats, and less than 6% are Republicans. The Associate Provost for Diversity and Multicultural Affairs, Archie Irvin, is in charge of Measer's plan. He says voter registration has nothing to do with being politically diverse.
There's just a great variation of personal and political perspectives in the faculty, much greater than what you would tend to think. And I think the labels of voter registration are really not very good gauges.
Labels aside, Zalaquette says there's still a liberal bias on campus.
I think that people like to deny that there's a bias in the classroom. For example, Chancellor Measer was asked at his Chancellor's open house what he thought we should do to solve the problem, but instead of actually answering the question, he responded that he didn't think there was a problem in the first place.
Young Democrat co-president David Beard agrees UNC is biased, but says it makes class interesting.
All the professors are influenced by their political views. They're influenced by lots of things, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. If you were to ever get a professor who didn't influence what they taught, it would be a really boring class because it would just be the textbook.
The Chancellor's diversity plan includes experiences and perspectives of students, staff, and faculty as they relate to race, gender, age, class, sexuality, culture, nationality, disability, religion, and region. Irvin believes that sentence includes political diversity.
Yes, we should be actively on guard against people being in a position of being disadvantaged in any way, and political affiliation is certainly one of those.
But students like Zalaquette aren't impressed.
When we have people like Chancellor Measer who are saying that the problem isn't there, we have to have some kind of documentation of what's been going on so that we can remember and look back to all these instances in which it has been a very serious problem.
Beard says conservatives document too much.
They essentially go around looking for professors to do anything that might be construed as something liberal so that they can attack them and use this one incident as proof that the entire campus is on a witch hunt for conservatives, which I don't think is true.
Many students in the College Republicans are trying to get the policy changed to include political affiliation.
Susan, how does the breakdown of faculty voting registration compare to the general North Carolina population?
As we told you in the story, 6% of our faculty are registered Republican. In the state, that number is 35%.
Susan Tart reporting live from the newsroom. Thanks, Susan.
The recent actions of a sorority at DePauw University raised questions about the true values of such organizations. In November, national officers of the Delta Zeta sorority expelled 23 members, including every girl who was overweight and the only Korean and Vietnamese students. Of the 12 students allowed to stay, 6 left the sorority voluntarily in protest. Shelley Dobeck is the Associate Director of Greek Life at NC State. She says the issue is complicated.
And my experience in watching any membership review is that those who are removed are never really feel good about that process. They always feel that there is some wrongdoing.
The executive director of Delta Zeta says the 23 members weren't dedicated enough to the sorority and weren't committed to recruitment efforts.
Check this out, because you won't see it again for a while. The moon might have looked a little different to you on Saturday night. There was a total lunar eclipse as the moon passed completely through the Earth's shadow. People around the world could see it. Before Saturday, the most recent total lunar eclipse happened nearly 3 years ago. Weathercaster Johnny O is here with us to tell us about weather. Johnny, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good. That lunar eclipse was really interesting. I got to check it out.
Yeah, that's some definitely interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's not going to happen until August again. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's got a few more months before we can see it again.
Well, I'm excited because I missed that one, so I'm ready to see it. So,
all right,
Johnny, it's been sunny, but it's been cold. I've had my heavy coat on. What's going on?
Well, we're seeing up and down temperatures constantly lately, and coming up, I'll tell you if certain people are going to have their jackets around because it's going to be bouncing up and down.
Hear that? How could I not? They can't be serious. This is their third party this week and I have a test tomorrow.
Yeah, and they blocked me in again.
Let's party!
It's about time we got
Anything left in here? I bet they're gonna leave their garbage out again. They do this every time when they have friends over.
It's important to be considerate of others who live close to you. You wouldn't want neighbors like these. Make sure to control your garbage, obey Chapel Hill noise ordinances, park only in your driveway or other designated areas, obey all alcohol laws, and remember, we're all living in this community together, so be a good neighbor.
Well, I got sunny conditions for you. Good news. I've got cold conditions and back and forth conditions. I guess that's not so good news. Welcome back. I'm Jonathan O, and our first headline looks like this. Very sunny conditions expected for the rest of this week. Some passing clouds, but pretty much sunny. But we're going to see cool temperatures tomorrow on Tuesday, and then up on Wednesday, down on Thursday, and we'll go back and forth. So it's kind of like playing pinball. So, my advice to you is hang on tight because spring break's around the corner, and I'm going to talk to you about some of those sunny beaches, maybe where you want to head out to have some fun this coming weekend into next week. Let's take a look at the satellite map. Notice right now, in terms of the western section of the United States, just some spotty clouds. Eastern section of the United States, look, not much in terms of clouds. A few high clouds and some snow showers located in the northeastern section of the United States. Now for us, the weather is going to change slightly in terms of temperatures. What's going to happen is notice that there's this cold front located in the midsection of the United States. What's going to happen on Tuesday is that the storm system is going to just sweep through down, not storm system, front is going to sweep down really quickly, and it's a dry front, so it's going to pretty much stay dry and sunny outside, but the temperature is going to drop into the upper 50s and lower 50s for Tuesday. And then what's going to happen on Wednesday is not much change, except there's a little bit of disturbance located off the coast in Washington and in Maryland. But in terms of our weather, again, we're going to be going back and forth in terms of temperatures, but sunny skies is what we're going to expect. Now, if you want to get some hot destinations to see where you want to go for spring break, here are some locations where we can take a look at. Tampa, Florida, the site of the ACC tournament coming up this weekend, and Key West, and into the Bahamas. This is good news because sunny, upper 70s for the entire weekend coming up and into the 80s under sunny conditions. Emerald Isle in the 60s. Flying the ointment on Saturday because of a little bit of chance of showers. But all these locations are not going to be too bad. Beach, you can't go wrong with the beach when you're going to spring break this coming weekend and into next week. Your forecast for tonight looks like this. Partly cloudy. Let me get out of your way here. Look at the triangle. Now you're making me cover up Duke here. And partly cloudy conditions, cool, low of 32 degrees. And then for tomorrow, we'll see temperatures high of lower 50-degree temperatures. And for the next 4 days, looks like this. We're going to see temperatures in the mid-50s on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Wednesday, lower 60s. So it's going to slightly warmer overnight period, but in terms of your daytime temperatures, it's going to bounce back and forth between the 50s and 60s. And in terms of sky conditions, just sunny. So make sure you have an on-off switch for your jacket because it's going to be one of those unpredictable weeks.
So any plans for the beach for you?
Unfortunately, no. I have a bunch of stuff that I have to do and I have to go back home instead.
Well, I don't know. I might try to make my way out there because it sounds kind of nice.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, hopefully we can all make it outside. Thanks, Johnny. Sportscaster Deshaun Brown is here to tell us about sports. Deshaun, great time for Carolina fans.
Oh, yes, an awesome weekend. And, you know, Johnny, I'm sorry you had to cover up Duke in your forecast, but they weren't even an issue this weekend. So. Coming up in sports, the women's basketball team looked for some redemption in the conference tournament. This weekend, they went for their third consecutive ACC title.
Women's Center, may I help you?
The Women's Center is a nonprofit agency that has served as a meeting place for women in the Triangle since 1979, making it one of the oldest freestanding women's centers in the country. The mission of the Women's Center is to provide a supportive community where all women can inspire each other to grow, both personally and professionally.
I was going through a crisis at home, and I contacted Helpline, and they referred me directly to the Women's Center.
I think the Women's Center is really important for the community because it offers so many different kinds of resources, and if we don't have the resource here, we can find an avenue or a way for women to find the answers that they need.
It is inspiring. It's so exciting to be a part of something that really matters and really changes things.
You can support the Women's Center through membership or by sending a contribution to the Women's Center, 210 Henderson Street, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27514.
Welcome to Carolina Week Sports. I'm Deshaun Brown. Now, Sunday's Duke game started out as a good one for Carolina fans. The Heels were up for most of the game. Brandon Wright rejects this shot, and the Heels are off and running. Now, look what happens when you actually move the ball. Rayshon Terry making it look easy. Tyler Hansbrough with the shot clock running out. That's how you throw it down. Now, as the regular season ran out, the crowd applauded senior Rayshon Terry in his final minutes on the Dean Dome floor. Senior Dewey Burke finished with a little playing time. But in the last 15 seconds, the game took a very ugly turn. Duke Gerald Henderson hit Tyler Hansbrough square in the face. Knocked him to the floor and broke his nose. Henderson was kicked out of the game and suspended for the next. That wasn't the first time Hansbrough got hit in the face Sunday. In the first half, he got knocked in the mouth, and Hansbrough started bleeding and had to wear a mouth guard in the second half. Now, the coaches had very different perspectives on what actually happened.
I feel badly for Tyler, and we apologize for that, but I know there was no intent to do that. Otherwise, you would push your hand out.
I thought that Tyler was hit, and the referees said that they would look at it. They did say immediately it was going to be an intentional foul, but they wanted to look at it on the monitor. They looked on it on the monitor and then made their decisions.
Now it's on to Tampa in the ACC tournament. Top-seeded Carolina will face the winner of the Clemson-Florida State game. The Heels will play one of those teams Friday at noon. Now, the women weren't playing Duke, but the stakes were just as high. The conference tournament title was on the line, and I was courtside for all 3 games.
It's time to focus. The stakes are at an all-time high.
We're just looking forward to win our 3rd ACC championship in a row.
That's certainly no easy task, but the Heels came out swinging against the Virginia Tech Hokies. In case you were wondering, that's a turkey. Hey, but this is no jive. Senior Camille Little led her team to an easy day 1 win. Little finished with 20 points. And for the Heels, the 90-60 win came right on time.
It was a good confidence booster for us.
That's exactly what the Heels would need against the defending national champions. It sure looks like they have it here. Ivory Latta with the steal, dumps it off to Rashonda McCants, misses Erlena Larkins. Now, despite a 10-point UNC lead, the Terps came bouncing back. Here's Maryland's Christy Tolliver for the tie.
67 all. On the other end, Latoya Pringle for the lead. Knocks you off your feet, doesn't it? The Tar Heels spear the Turtle 78-72. On to Championship Sunday. The Heels came in with a little extra pep in their step. That didn't last long. Ivory Latta racked up 3 quick fouls in the first half. The Pack sped to an early 11-point advantage, only to see Ivory Latta completely erase it. Latta's 20-point performance not only won the game, but solidified her place as UNC's all-time leading scorer. The senior can also add this to a long list of achievements, a 3rd consecutive ACC championship.
The Heels are back, baby! We're back!
Now, the Carolina baseball team tried to hold on to its undefeated record during a weekend series with Penn State. On Friday, the Heels crushed the Nittany Lions with a season-best 4 home runs. All-American shortstop Josh Horton had a perfect day at the plate, going 4 for 4 with, guess what, another homer. Senior pitcher Robert Woodard put in another dominant performance as he allowed just 1 run and struck out 8 in 6 innings pitched. Carolina won the first game 8-4. Boshamer Stadium was packed for Game 2 of the series on Saturday. In the bottom of the 3rd inning, Carolina's Dustin Williams hit this RBI single to make the score 2-0. The game looked like it was over in the top of the 9th, with Carolina leading 2-1, but Penn State DH Robert Yodis tied the game with this home run, and hey, where'd the ball go? Penn State took the lead in the top of the 10th after shortstop Josh Horton committed an error that allowed Penn State's Garrett Field to score from 3rd. Carolina loses for the first time this season 2-1, but won Sunday to take the series. In the Tar Heel Invitational, pitcher Lisa Norris had a career high with 13 strikeouts against Fairfield. Look at her teammates cheer her on. Then Saturday against Appalachian, it was all about the walks and the runs. Brianna Brown scoring here. Carolina wins 14-1. Against Rutgers, Norris allowed only 6 hits while striking out 7. Jocelyn Higgins sealed the victory with this 2-run homer. Carolina wins 5-3. On Sunday, the ladies defeated Marshall 5-1 in the championship game, extending their winning streak to 5 games. Sunday night's Duke game gave Carolina the lead in the Carlisle Cup competition. UNC now leads by 1 point. The next event in this year-long competition is the men's lacrosse game on March 17th in Chapel Hill. And ladies, just to wrap up the wrestling ACC tournament, the men came in 3rd place. So congratulations to them.
Looks like everything's going great for Carolina. Thanks, Deshaun. Well, I'm sure you've heard that too much ice cream can give you a tummy ache.
It's definitely done that to me, but coming up, we'll show you how the sweet dessert could leave you with a different kind of rumbling in your belly.
In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine?
Here at Carolina, we are forging ahead in our tradition of cultivating leaders in research, teaching, and public service. As the nation's first public university, we are dedicated to setting the standard.
In my mind.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
Ice cream caused the next baby boom? Well, eating more of it could help women conceive. According to a new study, a diet rich in high-fat dairy foods lowers the risk of one type of infertility. Researchers found women who ate at least one fatty dairy food a day were 27% less likely to have trouble producing eggs. And the best part, women eating ice cream 2 or more times a week had a 38% lower risk than those who ate it less than once a week. So what do you think about that, Jess? The whole ice cream fertility?
I think I might need to stay away from ice cream for a few years.
Me too. I'm not ready for a baby yet. But doctors also say that if you're going to increase your high-fat dairy food intake to try to boost your baby odds, that you're going to need to decrease your fat intake and other foods so that you don't gain weight.
Oh, that's definitely
You don't want
good
that
to
either.
know.
All right, well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks so much for watching. Good night.